Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Y. Coney and welcome to Bright Star Baby and Child Clinic. Hope you're having a good day today. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Across the world, many parents are concerned about their children going back to school. Now in Malaysia, our schools have restarted and I too had a bit of maybe anxiety over children starting school. But I know that going back to school physically is beneficial for them. So I did what I thought is best and allowed them to go back to school. But this is a very concerning issue at the moment. Many parents come to me and they have this fear that their children may not be safe in school, or that the schools may not have the best SOP. And so these are just some thinking points that we need to consider, okay? So for the topic today, let's talk about return to school during COVID-19. So the question that you have to ask as a parent is, why should children go back to school despite the pandemic? So why should children go back to school, and then versus the pandemic that's going on right now? First of all, I would like to say that the American Academy of Pediatrics, the AAP, states that children learn best in school. That's it. Children learn best in school. Schools provide more than just academics to children. In addition to reading, writing, and math, children learn social and emotional skills. They get exercise and access to mental health support in school, and other things that cannot be provided with online learning. So virtual learning is secondary to actual physical learning in school. Another reason is that for many families, school is where their kids get healthy meals, access to internet, especially to the lower income group. So it is beneficial for children to go back to school. Other part of the question, remember we talk about why should children go back to school during a pandemic? So now we go back on focus on the COVID-19 portion. The AAP guidance is based on what pediatricians and infectious disease experts know about COVID-19 and kids. So evidence suggests that children and adolescents are less likely to have symptoms or severe disease from COVID-19 infection. Most of the time, they don't really become so sick when they're infected, and they are also less likely to spread the virus, okay? So knowing that our kids are not so likely to get COVID-19 infection, and even if they got the infection, they are not as likely to show severe symptoms or any symptoms at all. So knowing that, and knowing that school is beneficial for them, so what we know is school is good for them. COVID-19 is not so severe in children. These two together equals to going back to school is okay. Is not as bad as we think, okay? So, but we do need to put certain safety measures in place. How do we go about, children going back to school, schools reopening? Ideally, before they go back to school, the local school leaders, the educators, and also the public health experts and parents should work together to decide how and when to reopen schools. So I know before our school in Malaysia reopened, the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education had a discourse about this topic, and they came up with SOPs for all schools and nurseries and daycares to follow, okay? These decisions need to take into account also the COVID-19, the local transmission of COVID-19 in the community. It means that should the local transmission of COVID-19 increases, then the schools and families should prepare to go back to virtual learning, like what we did during MCO. This is a moving target. It's not like, oh, schools reopen and then the children stay in school forever. regardless of the COVID-19 transmission. I mean, these are all based on day-by-day data from local transmission. Okay, some of the general practice that schools can take include they can stagger the start and end of school day. Staggering means that you come at different times, okay? So you can say a shift of students come at 8, these students come at 8:15 and 8:30, whatever way, so that you don't have overcrowding of students at the gate, lining up, all these things are just to prevent transmission. It's just common sense. The other thing is staggering meal times for students and shifts of playtime. This is to minimize overcrowding. So the other way of reducing transmission is you can move classes to temporary spaces. So instead of overcrowding in one area, you can use some temporary spaces. For example, the outdoor porches. If you have a big school, you can use the hall for classes. Anywhere outdoors is better because it reduces the risk of transmission as well. Some countries even suggest holding school in shifts, so that Monday, Wednesday is this group of students, Tuesday, Wednesday is another group of students. So children don't go to school every day, but they do go some days of the week. So again, this is just to reduce the overcrowding and the size of the class. Okay, now we go into specifics. We should take into account the social distancing measure. The goal during COVID-19 pandemic is that people should have a distance of 2 meters or 6 feet apart, okay? 2 meters apart, that's ideal. But in school, come on, we don't have that much space, right? So 1 meter or 3 feet apart between desks would be sufficient. It has similar benefits for students in reducing transmission. This distancing works better if the students also wear masks, or they have a barrier, those clear plastic barriers. That works as well. So it gives students more protection. But for teachers and staff who are more likely at risk of getting COVID-19 from other adults, should stay the full 6 feet apart or 2 meters apart from each other, as well as from students, as much as possible. And teachers and staff should wear masks at all times and limit in-person meetings with other adults and other teachers, okay? When possible, outdoor spaces should be used for instruction and meals. Students also should have extra space to spread out during activities like singing and exercising. Second point, apart from social distancing, is the use of masks and other face coverings and hand hygiene. So frequent hand washing with soap and water is very important for everyone, regardless. So for masks, I think all adults, so all teachers should wear masks. Preschool and elementary students can wear masks and should wear masks, provided that they don't play with it or touch it too much. I know it's very difficult, especially for young children, including my own children. Sometimes they play with it, okay? But we say try to wear it as much as possible, okay? And encourage hand washing for these young children, because if their hands are clean, they're less likely to, even if they touch their face, they're less likely to transmit anything to themselves or others, okay? Older children, yeah, they should wear masks. Hand washing or hand sanitizing stations should be easily available in school. Okay, thirdly, some classroom changes that should be implemented to help students limit interaction outside of the classroom. Schools can have teachers move between classrooms. Okay, so this is more for overseas countries, where they are used to having students move from class to class instead of teachers moving. In Malaysia, we are the opposite. So students, they put in the classroom and then teachers move from one place to the other. So we already have that in place, so no problems there. This is basically to minimize overcrowding of students in the hallways. The next point is we should allow students to have their lunch or their tea time, their meal times at their desks. And ideally their desks should be 1 meter, at least 1 meter apart, and hopefully there's a covering or a barrier that prevents further transmission of diseases. Okay, you can also schools can also have outdoor meal times, meal times in outdoors, again reducing transmission. The classroom doors should be left open to reduce the high touch surface, such as the doorknob. The doorknob is a high touch surface, so when you leave it open, you don't have to touch it as often, so keeping your hands free of germs. Next thing is temperature checks and testing. There's no way that we can test for COVID-19 in every student. That is not financially cost effective. That is also not possible because it's uncomfortable. Children will not cooperate so willingly with you because it's uncomfortable to put the swab up there. But we do say that temperature checking is quite important for the students. You can do it at the entrance of the school, midway through the classes, and then just before they leave school. So if any students have a temperature that is higher than 37.5 or showing symptoms of illnesses, the parents should be notified and students be taken home. I would say that school authorities should remind all staff, so that's the teachers and all staff, the cleaning staff, whatever, that they stay home if they have a fever or they show any signs of illness. So even the teachers, please, okay, not just the students, the teachers should also take care of their health. All right, and next we go on to the cleaning and disinfecting part. The equipments used in schools, the high touch surfaces, okay, all these things should be made into consideration. Firstly, before the start of school, the equipments used in school and also the floors and the tables, basically all equipments in school should be cleaned with soap and water to decrease the viral load. And when you clean with soap and water, it optimizes the efficacy of disinfectants used afterwards. So soap and water first, clean, then disinfect. It will be even better in terms of reducing viral load. When possible, use only products labeled as safe for humans and environment when it's possible. They are less toxic, they're less toxic, they are not so irritable to the airways, as well as it isn't as much of an asthma trigger, especially for sensitive children. And it's just generally overall more safe for children. So we talk about also equipments like computer equipments, keyboards, art supplies, play or gym equipments. They should be disinfected frequently. Okay, these are shared equipment, so obviously need to disinfect and clean nicely. Outdoor play equipments with high touch surfaces, such as those with railings and handles, for example, should be cleaned and disinfected regularly if it's used continuously. But we do emphasize that children, if they want to go play in the playground, that they should wash their hands first and mask on. Lastly, I know that our children going back to school may not feel very normal, at least for a while. But actually, come to think of it, I already start to feel like it's quite like a new norm for me now. So I hope that you will feel like that too. But what I do know is that there are various benefits that come with school attendance. What we need to do as a community is to ensure that when children go back to school, that it is safe for them to do so, and it is also safe for the teachers to do so, because this is to protect everyone, the children, the teachers, and the families behind the children and the teachers. Well, I hope you enjoy this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and I will try to answer them as much as I can. And if you like it, click a like and share this video to all your friends, okay? And I hope that it helps reassure parents that it is all right for children to go back to school, and in fact it is beneficial for them. Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.